We're back with another video. Thanks for showing up. For those of you who are brand new, my name is Nick. I play drums, I play guitar, I play in a band called District of Insanity that you can check out with the links for our YouTube channel, our Instagram down below. I'm also going to include our Spotify page down below because that's awesome. We also have a Facebook page that we don't really use. If you want to check that out, you can. Not necessary. At the end of the day, just want to say thanks for showing up. Go check out these links right here. Why did I point right here? They're down below in the description. What am I doing? Welcome. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about future music releases that have been talked about for this year in 2023. Now, we've got a lot of bands that are releasing some pretty interesting stuff this year in 2023 from a variety of different subgenres and whatnot of metal, rock, you name it. They're releasing it. It's going to be absolutely killer. This year is going to be pretty huge for music. I mean, last year was pretty huge for music too. We had a lot of big bands and we had a lot of big names releasing albums and songs and absolutely crushing it last year. I mean, it was a banger. I mean, just to list a couple of the reminders, we had 2023 Elegy by Shadow of Intent to start off the new year. After that, we had Fit for an Autopsy. I think we had Enterprise Earth as well, if I can remember correctly. We had a bunch of other bands as well. We had Megadeth, which I mean, that was an okay album, but I still have a signed copy with all 4 members' signatures on it. I mean, I got to see them in person for that. That was cool. It was cool to wave at Dave Mustaine and he smiles and waves back. That was great. But we had a lot of other records that were released as well. We had Lorna Shore releasing Pain Remains. Wow, absolutely crazy. We also had a very last minute release from Darko US, Death Mask Part 2. Wow, absolutely crushing it like usual for Darko, man. Darko was absolutely great. They also released another album a month prior for, what was it, Oni. Absolutely great. Bro, we had an absolutely killer year for death metal and music in general last year. And I think that this year is going to be absolutely killer for that as well. We got a lot of big names and a lot of big acts that are going to be releasing songs this year and albums and whatnot, and people that are hinting at more stuff coming up in 2023. So that's going to be interesting. Just to start off, I think that we need to be looking out for a couple of these names here for some, how shall we say, absolutely crazy acts that are going to be going on. I think people are going to be starting to bring on some new levels that they haven't really reached before in their previous work. I think that people are going to be trying to outdo the bands of the previous year of 2022, because we had a lot of people that absolutely like blew our minds out of the water. I think a lot of these heavier bands in like deathcore and death metal and all that, they're going to be trying to compete with Lorna Shore. I know that for sure, but we'll definitely see. Are they going to flop? Are they going to make it? Are they actually going to do pretty good? We'll definitely check it out. But here's a couple of the bands I think we should be paying attention to. For one, Brand of Sacrifice. Brand of Sacrifice is one of those bands that I kind of slept on, I'll be honest. I even slept on Lorna Shore, but I kind of discovered them both about the same time. I'll be honest, they quickly became one of my favorite bands. I liked how they added synthesizers in. It's just great. And they're going to be releasing a new album this year. And I think it's going to be probably one of their hallmark albums, as well as probably an album that sets the bar for a lot of heavier bands. And I know last year we had a couple of albums that set bars as well. And I think that honestly, we're going to have a lot of different bands that are out there that are going to be now trying to exceed that bar that's been set. I don't know if they're going to do it or not, but I have faith that if anybody can do it, it's Brand of Sacrifice. But I think that they're going to be doing absolutely fantastic this year. I'm definitely excited for their album release. We've got other bands as well in deathcore realm that are releasing. We've got Chelsea Grin, Suffer in Heaven. I think that's going to be an absolute banger. I saw a lot of people that were saying that Tom Barber and Chelsea Grin were just trying to compete with Lorna Shore with their previous release. And I can understand why, but I think that honestly, these guys are about to take something to another level because they didn't necessarily go as fast as Lorna Shore, but they definitely kept that heavy and they kept that groove, which I do like about them. I think that this album is actually going to be a banger. I think it's going to be solid. I don't know if it'll top everybody else because Chelsea Grin's just not at that like popularity level, but I think it's going to do absolutely well, and I think it's going to be a great record. I have high hopes, and I think Tom Barber is amazing. You could just hug him. I want to say like literally today or yesterday, at least I found out today, that Cattle Decapitation is going to be releasing a new album, and we only found that out today because somebody decided to leak that on Reddit way ahead of the band's expected time to do so, which is annoying because not only does it offset when the band wants to release it, but it offsets how well the album is going to do. Because you got to remember one thing. Now, I know a lot of you actually don't think about this, but as someone who actually does work a little bit more in the music industry than people think he does, whenever a record label or a promoter chooses a release date for an album, they choose that release date for a specific reason. Because there's not going to be any other albums that are going to be released around that time. So it stands out. When you decide to leak that, not only are you superseding that promoter's idea of when is going to be the best time to release it, you're getting people overhyped about the album way ahead of time, and then that hype dies down because something else pops up that's bigger hype, and then people just kind of forget about your release and it doesn't do as well. So first of all, whoever leaked it, screw you, and don't do that for any of the other bands. It's not cool. With their next album, Terrasite, coming out here in May, it's gonna definitely be interesting. I mean, the artwork alone stands out from the rest of their other albums, and I think that this one's probably just gonna be, like they said on their Instagram, just a concept continuation of their last album, One Day Closer to the End of the World. So that'll definitely be fun to see. I am always a fan of concept albums. I think that they're absolutely great, and I have high hopes. I think that these guys are going to do what they do best. I think Travis Ryan is going to bring his screams as always. What more can I say? We also, in April, are going to be having Metallica release 72 Seasons. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not super hyped for this album. As someone who grew up in his later teenage years listening to Metallica almost every day religiously, I can safely say I'm not stoked for this one. I don't think this release is going to do so well. I don't think it's going to do that great. I don't think it's going to be an absolutely killer album. I feel like what'll end up happening is it'll be kind of like Megadeth's album, just kind of mediocre at best, but not necessarily great, not worth a re-listen. Not to talk any crap on them as a band. They're a great band. You can have a great band and not put out a great album every so often. But we'll see. They could surprise me. With Lux Eterna being the forerunner for their album, I think that I don't have high hopes, my guys. Plus, on another tangent, totally unrelated to the music aspect, you cannot tell me that James Hetfield and Ted Nugent are not the same person, if not twins. Imbibe this imagery. These two look identical. I don't care what you say. They look so alike, it's scary. We have a lot of other bands that are releasing albums this year as well. We have Periphery with a very comically titled Gent Is Not a Genre. Finally, someone else who believes what I believe. We've got Ne Obliviscaris. They're releasing their next album in March, and I have absolutely high hopes for this album because I love Ne Obliviscaris. They've impressed every single year. They get better with every single album, and their forerunning single was a banger. They're going to do great this year as well. I feel like that this particular album is just gonna slap. So definitely, I'm going to be so happy to be able to see them as well on tour in October this year. And that's going to be great too, because they're with Beyond Creation, another killer band, by the way. But other than that, we also have bands such as Dream Theater. They're releasing another work this year. I don't know how this one's going to do. I mean, it is prog metal, so we'll definitely see. They could do something different on this one, but I feel like it's just going to be another Dream Theater album. And that's okay. They've definitely found out what they wanted to do, and they've stuck to it, and I admire them for that. Steve Vai's releasing something later this month, and that's going to be cool. Obituary, they're releasing another album as well, and by the time this video comes out, it will have already been released on the 13th. Now, are all of them going to be bangers? I don't think so, but are there going to be a lot of bangers? Absolutely. So, with that being said, there is one more band that needs to be talked about that they're going to be releasing a single actually on the 14th, so after this video comes out. And that's my band. You can go ahead and listen to that by the Spotify links down below. It's a song called Justified Homicide. It's only about 2 minutes and 40 seconds long. It's about killing a pedophile. What more can I say about that? I mean, you know, that's pretty based. It's a song that we wrote a couple of months ago. It's 340 BPM, and there's definitely a lot of inspirations that you can hear off of that album from a whole bunch of previous albums that I've talked about and listened to. But yeah, absolutely fun song to record and master and mix and all that. Absolutely great. Did it all ourselves as well. Just two guys. We're also releasing a demo as well a little bit later on this year. It's 5 songs that we had recorded from, like, you know, back in 2020 that we lost those original recordings of, and then we re-recorded them, then lost those, and then we re-recorded them again. But yeah, we're going to be releasing a lot of music this year, and hopefully people like it and, you know, sticks with them. With all that being said, that's the end of this video. What are your ideas for what's going to be the better releases of 2023? And what bands do you have high hopes for? What bands do you not? Give me some explanations down below. Comment all that stuff. I'd like to hear it. We post drum shorts twice a day, every day, 365 days of the year. We do long form videos like this whenever I get the chance to. Usually it's once a week, and we're trying to make it so that way they upload every Sunday, but sometimes life happens. And we do music reviews whenever there's a new song that's released or a new album that's out. I'll see you later.